Hi guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. So a while ago, like a month or two ago, I posted a video about why I chose to be a hospital administrator, and holy crap, you guys have a lot of questions, and I totally get it because there is not a lot of people on YouTube, at least, or on the internet that talk about or do healthcare administration. I know when I kind of decided on it, it was kind of like a whim decision because I read a few things online and I was like, this sounds like what I want to do, and I just went for it. So I'm happy to answer all of you guys' questions. Of course, I have like 500 comments on that video with just questions. I've gotten countless DMs and I've responded to all of them. Absolutely love it. I want to help you guys because I totally get there's not a lot of information. But I thought it would be fun and helpful if I just did a whole video answering some very common questions, so that if you guys send me a question, I can send you over this video if your question is in here. So that is exactly what I'm going to be doing today. If you are new here, make sure that you subscribe. I post vlogs, fashion content, lifestyle content, grad school content all the time. So I post twice a week. So make sure that you subscribe to stick around and see all of my upcoming content. Cheers. This is kombucha. I've just been like drinking liquids all day. Like I had coffee, then I had a smoothie, and now I'm having kombucha. So health. Without further ado, I'm going to pull up the video. I've prepped for this none. Surprise, surprise. But what I'm going to do is just pull up the video and I'm going to answer questions you guys have asked me in no particular order. And I also want to put a disclaimer out there because I've had a lot of people ask me questions and I just want it to be known that I am also navigating this right now. I'm a first year graduate student with the MHA. I'm finishing up my first year, about to register for my second year classes. Definitely don't know everything. I'm kind of figuring it out with you guys, but I do think I have some advice, especially if you haven't started the program or you're just interested in the program. I definitely have some insight, but I do not know everything. So definitely take it, what I say, with a grain of salt. And there will probably be a few questions where I'm like, I don't know the answer, and that's okay because I don't know everything. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into these questions. How different is schoolwork in grad school versus undergrad? Definitely very different. Personally, I prefer it better. So in grad school, you are less of a number. In undergrad, for me, I felt like I was very much just another number. I had classes of 200, 100, 300 people, and the professor never knew who I was, nothing like that. You did a lot of exams, and for the most part, they don't really care how you're doing unless you go and speak to them. My grad school experience has been completely different. You go through all 2 years with basically the same people because you're in the same cohort. So there's about 30 of us. So we all know each other. We all talk all the time on GroupMe. And your professors also know you because it's a class of 30. I think that is a really good pro about grad school. Also, most of your tests are either projects, so like group projects, or they're open note. Again, because it's not like college where it's like spit it out back to me. It's you're actually trying to learn and be hands-on because you are literally 2 years if you're just starting from going into this career path. So it's much more hands-on and much more niche than college is. What kinds of things do you learn in your business and finance classes? So I am in my first actual accounting class, which is definitely a finance class. And we are learning a lot about balance sheets, hospital budgets, hiring and firing. So things with, you have to deal with a budget, obviously, if you're going to buy new equipment, if you're going to hire somebody new. So we're learning a lot about profit and loss and how you can afford to hire somebody or buy new equipment, and then also what to do if you can't afford that. I'll pull up my class schedule for you guys actually really quick and just kind of like tell you what I learn in each class. Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys really quick what classes I take because I have had a lot of people ask me this question. So in my fall semester first year, I took Introduction to U.S. Healthcare Systems, Population Health and Disease, Decision Analysis, and Quality and Outcomes Management in Healthcare. We had an intro class, we had a class about population health, which is public health. We had a class about decision analysis, which is statistics, and then quality and outcomes management, which quality is a huge sector of hospital management because hospitals have to be held to a certain standard and quality standard in order to be able to run. This semester, I'm taking accounting for healthcare management, organization behavior in healthcare. In organization behavior, we learn a lot about how to be a leader, how to prosper in the political environment that is healthcare administration. Health law and ethics, which I love this class. We are learning about HIPAA, malpractice suits. We go through a lot of case briefs. It's a really fun class because you really do need to know the laws behind healthcare. And then an elective, and my elective I'm taking is interprofessional collaboration. In the fall, I'm going to be taking marketing in healthcare. I'm so excited for this class because I think marketing is what I'm like, if I could pick a dream career for me, it would be marketing in healthcare. So like marketing hospital, marketing in private practice, human resource management, healthcare finance, health policy development, and then my last semester I'll take health economics, information resource management, strategic management of health services organizations, and an elective. I can tell you about the classes from first year like I did. I don't know quite yet about my second year classes, but that's kind of like a plan of study for a full-time 2-year program. Someone asked me, is there a reason you didn't accept the online schools that you went to? So some online schools that I applied to were University of Cincinnati, Appalachian State University in North Carolina online, George Mason, and then my school. I think I only applied to 4. I can't really remember, and my school was the only one that was in person. So honestly, the reason I didn't end up going with the online schools is because the ones that I had were not CAHME, C-A-H-M-E accredited, which is huge. So I ended up between where I'm at, UNC Charlotte, and App State. That's the other one I was considering because of in-state tuition. And I learned that App State was not CAHME accredited, and that's basically the accreditation that recognizes the healthcare administration program. So you can get a healthcare administration degree somewhere, but if it's not at an accredited university, then some people might not take your degree seriously. So that is some advice that I would give you guys, is make sure the program you're looking into is CAHME, CAHME accredited. Oh, I love this question. This person asked me, how do you feel about the stigma of non-clinical workers holding management positions in hospitals? She says, I know nurses and doctors who are not very happy with finance and budgets being at the forefront of health administrators' minds and not patient satisfaction. It's something I've struggled with and the reason why I don't necessarily want to work in a hospital or a private practice. I love this because this is huge in my program and something that we talk about. We take classes on how to work with nurses and doctors because they don't like you sometimes if you don't have a clinical background. So first advice I would give you is if you can get any kind of clinical background, I do think it's beneficial. I worked as a CNA for like 2 years. I mean, it's not a lot, but I can say that I have been on that side of things a little bit. It's definitely not necessary, but it could help you see their side of things. And I do agree with what you're saying. They don't like that budget and things like that is in the forefront of health administrators' minds. Yes, you are going to be thinking business as a health administrator, but at the end of the day, patient satisfaction is what should be at the top of your mind. And I have learned a lot about doctors and other people. They're thinking about finance and business too. They're thinking about getting paid. The hospital industry as a business, people don't like to think of it that way, but that at the end of the day is what it is, because without profit and without money, you cannot run and you cannot have satisfied patients. You are going to be in charge of supplies and beds. If a doctor is asking you for a new MRI machine, then you are on top of making sure that they are satisfied. So it is very important that you have a mutual respect going on. At the end of the day, you can't just give everyone what they want because you would go out of business and then the doctors would not have a job. So really, it just is all about mutual respect. Not everyone can just think give. You do have to have some business. Even like free clinics and things like that, community clinics, they have to think about it too. They can't give. There's usually applications for who can get treatment and things like that. So it is sad, and of course, we're not going to get political in this at all, but of course, I do think that healthcare is a right. So that's a whole nother issue. At the end of the day, you have to stay in business in order to give that right to everybody. Someone asked also, have you ever thought of health informatics, consulting, medical devices, or project management? Yes, I think about all of them all the time. I still do not know what I want to do. Like I said, a dream job for me would be like marketing position, maybe even a project management position. But I'm totally with you. I'm debating all 4 right now as well. This person said, do you think a nursing degree background would be a good background for healthcare administration? Absolutely. You are going to probably have a little bit more respect from your peers because you do have that clinical background. So when it comes to making decisions, you are not only thinking on the business side, but you do have that clinical experience to throw in there, which is invaluable. And like I said before, I do think clinical experience is good, but not necessary. I'm hearing we'd need to have some type of business degree to be successful in a career in MHA. I'm just afraid that I don't have the right background. What do you think? So this is a great question. A lot of people asked me, what undergrad degree should I have to be an MHA? I would say health administration, if your school offers it. Mine didn't. Public health would be a great degree to have. Business would be a great degree to have. Or statistics. I think those would be really good undergrad degrees to have, obviously, that weren't clinical or whatever. But I just want to say it's completely not necessary to have any of those degrees. I had a exercise and sports science degree, basically an anatomy degree. It's very irrelevant, honestly, to what I'm doing now. And most programs do not require you to have any kind of specific degree. In fact, none of them do. A lot of what master's degrees are for is to switch your trajectory in life. So a lot of people are using a master's program to change their career field. Someone said, do you think that it is still best to look into internships, and what do you think the best way to get a better understanding of the different opportunities would be? 100% internships and also volunteering. I worked as a volunteer in a hospital for a while in college, and I think that gave me like a little bit of insight into healthcare administration. Granted, I was like making their copies and filing their papers, but I did get to see like what the administrators around me were doing. So if you can't find a job or an internship, try volunteering. People are always looking for help. But an internship is definitely, I would say, the best way to learn more about things, and just having like a mentor, like your supervisor in an internship, because you can ask them questions. There's someone who has been in the field probably for 10-20 years, unlike me who's like in school. So I definitely think looking into internship opportunities would be the best way to do that. And I think the best way to find an internship opportunity is LinkedIn. I think connections, networking, knowing people, that is your best bet, because cold applying is a lot more difficult to get a job or career. I actually talked about this in my most recent podcast episode, Up For It podcast, with Hannah Grace Riddle. She's another YouTuber here, but she is getting her MBA, and we talked a lot about internships and jobs and how to get them, and how connections is the best way to do it. So if you want to hear a little bit more about that, you can go check that out. Can I apply for a hospital administrator position right after I get my master's, and how likely is it that I will get a job? Yes, absolutely. Most people have jobs before they finish graduating, and MHA is a great degree. People are looking for it, especially if you're in a big city where there's a big hospital system. You're gonna have a lot more opportunity in a bigger city. What is the difference between an MBA and MHA? I've gotten this question a lot. Basically, what I would say is, if you know you wanna work in a hospital, you know you wanna work in healthcare, I would steer towards an MHA, because it's a lot more niche. Like I said, every class you take is based around healthcare. So in an MBA, you're gonna take basic finance, basic accounting. In an MHA, you're gonna take finance in healthcare. So you're gonna be looking at hospital systems. You're gonna take accounting in healthcare. Business, you're gonna take marketing. MHA, you're gonna take marketing in healthcare. So everything is going to be much more niche and specific in an MHA. An MBA is a great degree, and you can definitely still be an administrator, a healthcare administrator, if you get that degree. You're just not gonna have as much knowledge as someone who has an MHA when it comes to specifically hospitals. But of course, that doesn't mean you can't learn. For me, I knew I wanted to work in a hospital. I've always wanted to work in healthcare, so I went with the MHA. An MBA is just gonna be a more broad degree. And then I know there is an MBA with a concentration in healthcare administration. That's gonna be kind of like the middle point, right? Business is very broad, MHA is very niche. MBA is going to be a little bit of the middle point, so you'll have kind of a mix of both. But again, if you know you want to work in healthcare, I would still go with the MHA. Would you recommend this degree for MDs? And then I also got a question, would you recommend this degree for PharmDs? Yes, absolutely. I think furthering your education is always a great idea if you can afford it and it's a good situation for you. You would definitely, I think, have more opportunities for a director role or a supervisor role as an MD with an MHA or a PharmD with an MHA. So a lot of people also ask me, what about Masters of Public Health versus Masters of Healthcare Administration? So Masters of Healthcare Administration is much more business oriented than a Masters of Public Health. Masters of Public Health is barely any business in reality. And MPH is much more on the research and scientific side of things. So if you had an MPH and you're working in a hospital, you might be looking at percentages of readmission rates and doing like studies on diseases in your area. So you might be working in like a clinic as like an epidemiologist who is studying different diseases in your area and how to prevent them from spreading. So like a lot of clinics have like the free needle programs and things like that. That's more MPH, and because you're studying diseases and research. Whereas MHA is much more business. You're looking at finance, you're looking at quality, you're looking at patient satisfaction. You're not really worried about the diseases and things like that are going on. Someone said, when you applied, did you take the MCAT and just general admission stuff? And then they said, UNC baby, go Heels. In order to get into a graduate program, like a master's degree, you take the GRE. I did take the GRE. and it was fine. Honestly, I feel like it's like the SAT. It was not very difficult. And then, so you know, you do not have to take the MCAT. General admission stuff, every school is different. I will say some schools require that you have been out of college a couple years. Some schools require that you have taken certain classes. So, you know, just look up schools and find what fits you best. I would start by looking at schools in your state, because you will save a lot of money if you do that. And then of course, CHME, C-A-H-M-E, how do I say that? Accredited. Yeah, so admissions, you're gonna most likely have a resume, a personal statement, letters of recommendation, and of course your transcripts and everything like that. And then the GRE. I know they are waiving the GRE because of COVID, but obviously we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, so I do think in the coming up years you'll have to take the GRE. My application for my program was due February 15th of the same year I would have started. So my application was due in February. I got my admissions at the end of March, April, and then I started in August. So you don't have to do it like super ahead of time like you do for like med school. So I took the GRE the summer after my junior year of college. Then I started my senior year in August of 2019, and then I applied in the beginning of 2020, and I started the program in August of 2020. For your personal statement, my biggest advice with that is contact the admissions counselors and send them your personal statement before you turn it in, because they really are great and they will help you tailor it to the program. So I would definitely suggest hitting them up and seeing if they can help you with your personal statement and resume. I also have a whole nother video called How to Get into Grad School with a Low GPA. So I'll link that for you guys, and I talk a lot in that video about resumes, personal statements, how to do those really well, and pretty much how to get into grad school. What are the hours as an MHA, and what is a typical work week like hours wise? This is a great question. So a normal MHA job for the most part is a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, 40 hours a week. Of course, the hospital does run 24/7, so depending on the level of superiority, I guess, that you have, you could be on call or have to work different hours. Like if you are the director of a specific unit and something happens and it's an emergency, you would get a call. So I think that's pretty normal. For the MHA, every program is different, but I am a full-time student and I do not work full-time. They really tell you not to, so I work part-time. But basically what my schedule looks like every week is I have 4 classes. Everything is really different right now because of COVID, so obviously everything is online. But in the fall, let me tell you what my schedule will be. So I'll have class 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, from 5:30 p.m. to 8:15 p.m. That is a normal full-time program. This semester, for example, I do have class Saturdays from 9:30 to 12:15. The class times are a little bit irregular because they're trying to account for those people who do work full-time, of course. That is like what a normal weekly class schedule looks like for me. And then I would say homework-wise, I have like 2 assignments per class. I would say I do about 3 hours of homework per class outside of class. So on top of the 12 hours of school that I actually have to attend, I have another 12 to 20 hours of homework depending on if it's midterm season or whatnot. So I'd say like in general, I'm spending about 30 hours a week on my degree. That's what I would say. When should you start studying for the GRE or the GMAT? Like I said before, you are going to do that like the summer after your junior year or your junior year. I would take it earlier if you think you're going to want to take it multiple times. How competitive do you think being a hospital administrator is? For instance, in a hospital, how many are there? There's a lot of hospital administrators. I don't think I fully grasped what exactly hospital administrators did until I got into this program. They are in everything. They are in every sector of a hospital. There is multiple administrators, like all the way down from like the reception desk at the very front to like the CEO of a hospital. So I do think it's decently competitive because everyone wants those higher level positions. But I also think with an MHA, you're gonna have a leg up and you will be fine. Someone said, do you ever have to deal with complaints from patients and medical staff? All the time. That's like a big part of your job. I guess depending on what you are, if you're human resources, you might deal a little bit more with the medical staff. But if you were in like working in the law part of things, you would definitely deal with any issues with patients. Someone asked, how much harder was it to get your graduate degree than to get your bachelor's degree? I honestly think my graduate degree has been easier to get for a couple reasons. One, it's 2 years. 2, I'm way more passionate about it than I was my undergrad degree, so I like actually like what I'm doing and I like my classes, which I never did in undergrad. And also, like I said before, you're in a lot smaller classes and professors know you, so it's just overall a better experience. Do you think it matters if an applicant for a position attended an in-person grad school or grad school through an online school? I do not think it would make a difference, to be honest. I was heavily considering online programs, and the only reason I chose not to was accreditation issues. Online school is just as good, and they're probably not going to ask you. The only thing I would say is if you do an online program, I would try to get more hands-on experience quicker, just so that you do have that like in-person experience, because it is very different, obviously, online versus doing it in person. Okay, I'm gonna answer one last question. If you guys have any other questions, you can leave them in the comments and I will try to get to you as much as I possibly can. But last question, this one got me, it cracked me up. It said, I've heard this degree is a useless degree. Do you agree with that? And nothing to the person that asked this, because I just think it's funny because I've heard people ask me this before, but no, I don't think it's a useless degree. I am getting it. My thoughts on that are no, it's definitely not a useless degree. CEOs of hospitals have MHAs, CFOs, anything, like big people have MHAs. The need for people to work in healthcare and administration and business and healthcare is huge. I do not think it is useless at all. I think it's actually very competitive, and I think a lot of people want to get the degree, even though not a lot of people talk about it. I think it is a goal of a lot of people. I have a cohort of 30. I know there's 4 other universities in my state. I know there's universities all over that have this degree, and they're competitive programs, and I don't think it's useless at all. I think I've actually learned more in 1 year in this program than I learned in 4 years in college. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Of course, I plan to keep you guys updated with what happens in my life, I guess. I don't know everything, like I said before, and I'm learning as I go, so hopefully I will have even better advice for you guys in the future as I start my job search and when I actually get a job and become a real hospital administrator. So make sure that you guys subscribe so you can kind of keep up on my endeavors if you're interested. I thought I'd give you guys a Franklin show because you loved him in my last video. Franklin, up, here he is. Oh, he's so cute. But like I said, thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you so very soon in my next one. Bye, guys.